Okay, I know I'm in my boxers right now. I'm still getting up. It's pretty late. But I wanted to get this started, to start my day. I have certain issues, okay, as a trainer. I tend to be very body aware, and when something is off and when I feel the start of something, I want to kind of learn about my body and the mechanics and what to do to regulate that before it gets terrible and you're incapacitated. So I've had that since forever. I've had issues with my shoulders, which have taken me years to kind of learn and develop. Even with an exercise science degree, it doesn't really help until you do the work on yourself, right? And so the issues I have are with my knee, my shoulders, my elbows, you know, all that stuff, neck, everything. Lower back is where I want to kind of get at. Now, I've had issues with my quadratus lumborum. That's not what I want to deal with today, but I might have to. I'm going to do the initial research online to kind of learn and figure out what will work with me to get my, I'm assuming it's my sacroiliac joint. I may be wrong, because some of the things I've looked up don't necessarily pertain to me, but I'm going to start with that. You got to kind of do trial and error. Now, this isn't a diagnosis or anything. This is what I do to figure out my body and what needs to be modified so that my body is working properly. Alright, so that being said, okay, so my issue, okay, my lumbar vertebrae, okay, my pelvis, alright, here, going back here, my pelvis still here, but my sacrum is right here, and my issue is on this side. Well, there's a tightness, there always has been, but this area here, more on this side. So between the sacrum and the ilium seems to be the issue on this side. I've already done a couple of changes. I would stretch, you know, the rotation stretch where you're lying on your back and stretching in the twisting motion. Like, you know, cavitation, when you get that pop, when you crack your back pretty much. I tend to do that a lot. I know it's not the best all the time, but on one side I would pop it, not necessarily in the lower area, but something would pop on my spine and it'd feel good, right? Relief. I would do it twisting this way, feeling it in the affected area, but it's like it would come back. It wasn't cavitation. It was like the joint was moving and then coming back. Does that make sense? This is new for me. It's been a couple of months. I've tried, but haven't stuck with, you know, certain stretching. And I feel it in the effective area, but I haven't done it on a consistent basis. What I did do just recently, and it's helped a bit, I have started lying in my bed, lying on the opposite side when I'm watching Amazon Prime. Because I tend to be more on my left side. Now I'm trying to be more on my right side. And that's maybe psychological, but it's helped a little bit. That being said, this video is just going to be the beginning of my trying to figure out what to do for that. It's not an answer, but hopefully you'll follow with me and comment and give your suggestions with other references where I can go to find out the actual information. Now, of course, you might not be able to diagnose it. You're not doctors or anything. I'm not a doctor. Doctor isn't necessarily the person you'd go to. You just go for the reference to go to the specialist, like a physio or an osteopath or chiropractor, whatever you want to go to. But that being said, this is where I'm going to start. I already checked out a couple of videos, and those are the videos I'm going to check and do their basic exercises to see what effect it has on me. So with that, let's forward with this. Okay, so I'm going to go with my trusty computer, see where we can go from there. Alright, let's see now. So I'm going to go into Google, and I'm going to do sacroiliac joint pain, which I had already looked up. Sacroiliac SI joint pain is felt in the low back and buttocks. Okay, that's me. The pain is caused by damage or injury to the joint between the spine and the hip. Sacroiliac pain can mimic other conditions such as herniated disc or hip problem. Accurate diagnosis is important to determine the source of pain. Alright, so like I said, not going to do a diagnosis yet. I'm just going to see what exactly the issue is. Scrolling down, here are some videos. I wanted to see, this one actually gave a very good visual of the situation that could possibly be me. Play that. Alright, let me try this again because the recorder shut off.
Sacroiliac joint dysfunction is improper movement of the joints at the bottom of the spine that connect the sacrum to the pelvis. It can result in pain in the low back and legs, or inflammation of the joints, known as sacroiliitis. The sacrum is a triangular bone at the bottom of the spine, below the lumbar region of the spine and above the tailbone. It consists of 5 fused vertebral segments. The sacrum is connected to the pelvic bone, also known as the iliac crest, on the right and left sides of the sacroiliac joints. These joints act as shock-absorbing structures and typically only move a small amount. Sacroiliac joint dysfunction refers to pain in these joints when they move either too much or too little.
Me, it's mostly inflammation of the joint. I don't have any pain in my leg or maybe a bit in my butt, but not really.
Hypermobility, or too much movement in the sacroiliac joints, is a result of loose ligaments supporting the joints. Hypermobility has many causes, including pregnancy or injury to ligaments. Hypomobility, or too little movement in the joint, can be caused by degenerative joint diseases, such as arthritis. When the sacroiliac joints overcompensate for problems in nearby joints, they may become painful. For example, many lumbar spinal fusion patients have sacroiliac joint pain due to
Yeah, that's me. I feel like when I'm twisting to try to do cavitation or crack my back, it's like if I'm turning my legs this way, my torso this way, that it kind of goes. It doesn't pop. It's just like the joint is moving and then it comes back. So that's why I'm thinking it's a looser joint.
Reduced motion in lumbar spine segments. Sacroiliac joint pain usually manifests as pain in the lower back or buttocks, but pain can spread to surrounding muscles that may spasm in response to joint dysfunction.
So far, I think I'm at the beginning phases, which is good. I always like to nip things in the bud before it gets worse. So this is why I'm doing this research.
Sacroiliac joint dysfunction is a condition that may be misdiagnosed as a herniated disc, so it is important to be aware of the specific symptoms associated with sacroiliac joint pain.
All right, so this is the theory I'm going with. Let's go with another video here. Go back to Google. 3 self-adjustment techniques for SI joint pain. There's another one here, 3 steps to permanent relief for SI joint and pelvic pain, but let me start with this one. I saw this one here and it was a little long, and it's kind of, this one here is more self-explanatory, so I'm going to go with that one.
All right, Ben, in this video I want to give you 3 self-mobilization techniques, and I'll show those to you right now and then explain a little bit of the reason why I see them work. Also, I didn't want to do a lot of redundancy. I'm sure you've seen like the Kelly Starrett Supple Leopard book featured in Tools of Titans or 4-Hour Body with Tim Ferriss. So I'll leave those out. You can obviously always go back.
No, I haven't seen those books. Those might be things I need to go to, but like I said, this is the beginning. This is the beginning.
I can reference them. I think you even interviewed them at one point. But anyhow, I'll show you my go-to self-mobilization techniques. I use these on myself. I think if I'm correct, you're right-sided SI joint pain and hamstring tightness. So it makes a lot of sense, and I know you know exactly how that works with your background, kinesiology, biology, etc. And training background, hamstring attaches to ischial tuberosity. So what we want to do is rotate that. So if you're on the right side, what you're going to do is
want to rotate that. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the pelvis kind of, you have to have an even pelvis, whether it's this way, being even this way, or even this way. If you have it this way, it affects your spine because your spine is twisted. You don't want a twisted spine. Let's see what he's doing here.
Lay on your back, grab the right knee, push down, 5-second hold. You're going to do that 3 times. This is just an isometric. A lot of people will try to do like a stretch this way. You're pushing your knee down into your hand. Great. So you're getting hip extension and you're using your posterior musculature, posterior pelvic musculature, or the hip extensors. You can do it on both sides.
Okay, so it's like an isometric glute contraction. You're pulling the glutes in a stretch position and you're trying to squeeze it. Okay, that makes sense. So basically trying to fire the glutes.
The important thing is to come back and just give yourself a little squeeze. What that does is resets the pubic symphysis, the joint in the front. So you have right SI, left SI, pubic symphysis in the front, 3 joints within the pelvis. So you just want to come back.
Hold up, what? Let me get back to this.
Your posterior musculature, posterior pelvic musculature, or the hip extensors. You can do it on both sides. The most important thing is to come back and just give yourself a little squeeze. What that does is resets the pubic symphysis, the joint in the front. So you have right SI, left SI, pubic symphysis in the front, 3 joints within the pelvis. So you just want to come back.
Okay, right after doing the glutes, you got to reset your pelvis. Okay, all right.
Give a little adductor squeeze, and usually you'll feel a click literally within your groin. So that's number one. A little more advanced version of that is you're going to push down on one knee and pull up at the same time. But again, it's an isometric. So what I do here is just alternate 5 seconds one way, great, 5 seconds the other, 3 times on each side. Again.
Okay, all right. So that's level 2 of what to do. Okay. And then you reset it as he's about to do that.
Please come back, do that adductor isometric, and you should click out if you're truly doing a self-adjustment. You won't click out every time, but you'll usually, the loudest cavitation, the loudest click will be on the first one.
Oh, we're going to feel some cavitation? Oh, I'm looking forward to this. All right. Okay.
Final one's a little bit trickier. I'm going to show you on the left side just because that's the side that's closest to the camera. But what you're going to do is turn your foot out or internally rotate your hip. So kind of hard to see, but you're going to angle your foot out at least to like 5 o'clock if you were looking down at a clock. And then what you're going to do is put your hand on the outside of your knee and push out. And again, just 5 second hold.
Okay, this is working the gluteus medius to kind of make it fire. Okay, so far these are making sense.
3 times. And this is for an in-flare.
And because you're internally rotating, they say when you turn your foot in, or obviously turning your foot in from the hip, you're not using the gluteus, well, the tensor fascia lata. I just saw another video. You're getting off of that and you're emphasizing more the gluteus medius. Makes sense.
Out flare of the pelvis. There's some controversy on this. I've actually seen it work really well.
What did he just say? Let me check this again.
Flare of the pelvis. There's some, and again, just 5 second hold, 3 times. And this is for an in-flare, out-flare of the pelvis. There's some controversy on this.
I don't know if I have an in-flare or out-flare of the pelvis, so I've
actually seen it work really well in the clinic across literally thousands of patients. So that's why I've included it here. But you're going to angle your foot out, push out, 5 second hold 3 times, and then the next one is almost like what a lot of people will refer to as a piriformis stretch. You're going to externally rotate your hip or bring your foot in, which would be like to maybe 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock on that clock dial, of 6 o'clock straight down. So you're going to angle your foot in and then bring.
Well, I know he said in the last video, which I'm not going to show here because it's going to get long, that a lot of people, when they have that pain, which I'm talking about on myself, they'll do that stretch where you cross one leg over, like a figure 4 stretch. You're stretching, you're crossing one leg over the other, and then you're bringing both legs up so you feel it in that area. And he says that's not the thing to do. He says that you have to stabilize. So which is why he's doing those isometric contractions of the glutes and the gluteus medius. And I think he's also doing the hip flexors, because when you're doing the alternate ones, the hip flexors also work too. So when your hip flexors are tight, your glutes don't fire. So it makes sense. Those are the kind of the opposing muscle. The hip flexors, like the iliacus, the psoas major, psoas minor, iliacus, they flex your hip or bring your knee up, or the femur up, and then the gluteals bring it back, extend. So, all right.
Your knee up towards your opposite shoulder. So your left knee would go to your right shoulder, and then just resist with your hand. Same thing there, 5 second hold, 3 times.
Oh, a diagonal contraction. I like that. Okay, different range. All right, this is looking good.
Great, and then as always, you come back, do the adductor squeeze, and reset every time. Now, let's talk about really quick why it works. So if you're looking at the pelvis from the front, you have the right innominate, right half of the pelvis, left innominate, or
innominate. Okay, that's the first time I heard that.
Left half of the pelvis. And then in the back you have your sacrum, your tailbone. So 3 bones, 3 different joints, right SI, left SI, pubic symphysis in the front. For most people, at least when I learned about the pelvis, they knew that statistically 70% of the time there was a right anterior innominate. So that means the right half of the pelvis is rotated forward. What you're doing, like when you do that isometric or any of the in-flare, out-flare modes, is getting that to move normally again, move back the way that it's supposed to, and then you always want to come back. You're getting that right innominate to move. You always want to come back and reset that pubic symphysis, which is the joint in the front. So
I can't see that visually, but with a lot of exercise, when working out is like you sometimes can't get that mind-body connection. You can't comprehend what he's saying. Like I understand what he's saying, but to feel it in myself, that I'm resetting my pubis symphysis, which is where the two pelvises meet, like right in your groin, that they touch together, not the big ilium or ilia. But with practice, you kind of learn it. So we'll see how that goes. This is what I'm going to try. I'm going to try and do those 3 exercises, then I'm going to give you my feedback on it. Mind you, it's only going to be the first day. Not going to do it for a month on camera. I'll do it off camera. If it actually works, I'll stick with that and see how that goes before I go on to the next thing. But I'll probably do some other research too. So let's see how this goes. Alright, let me try this. So I'm just going to do it with my right leg. I think this leg is down. Just going to pull here. And I'm going to push for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel a loosening when I do that. That's good. Try it again 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I feel a little clicking. Try one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm pushing pretty hard. Now I have to put my hands here and push against my hands to adduct. I had it clicking on this side, nothing on this side. All right, let me try the second one, the more advanced version. So pushing with one side as you pulling up with the other side, and then you alternate 3 times each side, 5 seconds each, and then I'm going to end up with it squeezing against my hands so I can click here. Alright, let's see. So I'm going to start with the pushing on this and pulling on this. Oh, that's not bad. This side I like better. No clicking, but it's like I feel that my pelvis is starting to go like this because I'm pushing and pulling at the same time. It's kind of like it's trying to force my pelvis. It's not like a great relief, but I can kind of feel it coaxing. Let me try the controversial one. So foot goes out, so I'm internally rotating. I'm feeling it here, and put my hand here, then push out. 2, 3, 4, 5. All that gives so much relief to that area. I have to keep my pelvis steady, all right? Just so you know, you're not like shifting your pelvis. Let's try this again. Turn this in. Hand here, push outwards, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if this works. Oh, a little bit of a click. It's nothing great, but alright, so the last one. Now externally rotating the hip, so I'm bringing the foot in, pressing my hand here, and I'm going to go diagonally towards my shoulders while pressing with my hand. Here we go. 1, 2, ooh, nice, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. And one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then end off here. Okay. Okay, so what did I think about this little experiment? I actually liked it. It's worth me trying it for at least a month to 6 weeks to see how it works. Maybe I'm walking a little differently, it feels a little less tight, but that could be psychological, right? But when I was doing it, I felt relief in the area, like there was a space being created. So that's a good sign for me to keep going. It wasn't painful, it was the opposite. So that's a good sign. Basically, it was just oh, now I'm starting to get pumped in my glutes. It was basically isometric contraction of my glute maximus, glute medius, the hip flexors, and probably hip flexors in a diagonal way, or piriformis. Let me see. You know, just to kind of get tenacity in those muscles to kind of keep more stability in the hip area. Now, thinking about that, I do, like my right side is where my lower back pain is, but every couple of months, and even now it's kind of fragile, I will get pain in the socket because of an instability. So, although this video is an adjustment, I never said what the video was. I should put it in the description. I'll take a screenshot of it. It is Madden's physical therapy, and it's 3 self-adjustment techniques for SI joint pain. So they're adjustment techniques, but it seems to be promising for me. Of course, I'll let you know. It's a process when you're trying to balance your body out. Sometimes it's just a simple thing as what I just did. Sometimes it's a whole process of things that you need to do, at least initially. And sometimes it's just a process to find what simple thing works for you. It's your body, it's a process, right? There's no fast, quick results with anything. You have to kind of discover it, you have to be in tune to it, you have to listen to it. So with that being said, if you like this video, please like it, please share it, please comment, please subscribe to the channel. I'm Fitness David. See you in the next video.